Compensation for the injustices of slavery hundreds of years ago fall under the redistribution of wealth. Blaming people alive today for the sins of generations long gone isn't fair nor equitable to anyone. There are many powerful arguments against reparations. Slavery has been a blight on humankind for thousands of years worldwide and with many different races. The United States didn't start it. Slavery starts with conquest, although not all conquests result in slavery. The famous historian and writer Thomas Sowell digs deep into this issue in his book Race and Culture. He states, "If one looks far enough back through history, virtually all peoples have been conquered peoples. The West was instrumental in eliminating slavery in many parts of the world." Also in the book Race and Culture, author Thomas Sowell states, "The biggest story about slavery, how this ancient institution, older than even Islam or Christianity, was wiped out over vast regions of the earth, remains a story seldom told. At the heart of that story was the West's ending of slavery in its own domains within a century, and maintaining pressure on other nations for even longer to stamp out this practice. Instead, the West has been singled out as peculiarly culpable for a worldwide evil in which it participated, when in fact its only real uniqueness was in ultimately opposing and destroying this evil. Yet intellectuals have engaged in desperate attempts to discredit or downgrade the West's long moral crusade, which ultimately destroyed slavery. The United States has consistently strived to correct its past injustices. Over 600,000 people died in the Civil War fighting to free the slaves. The U.S. passed the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery in 1865. The U.S. also passed the 14th Amendment, which granted citizenship to formerly enslaved people and provided equal protection under the law. The 15th Amendment granted all men the right to vote regardless of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. The 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 forbids discrimination based on sex and race in hiring, promoting, and firing. It also strengthened the enforcement of voting rights. It could be argued that affirmative action and many welfare programs have already been major reparations programs that have failed miserably. Reparations are for the injured party, not future generations. Unscrambling the egg of who owes who and what they owe is impossible. Politicians, intellectuals, special interest groups, and administrators would likely be the biggest beneficiaries of reparations, not the payers or receivers. Additionally, it will probably seriously strain race relations. The past must be acknowledged and understood but can't be changed. Walter E. Williams, an American economist, commentator, and academic, explains in his book, Up from the Projects. At the leftist reception, in the course of conversation and drinks, one of the faculty members asked me what I thought about the relationship between capitalism and slavery. My response to him and others, who were standing near to listen to my answer, was that to my knowledge, slavery has existed everywhere in the world and under every political and economic system. So slavery was by no means unique to capitalism or the United States. Not satisfied with my answer, the questioner asked, "How do you feel about the enslavement of your ancestors?" They were all shocked by my response. It was a party stopper. I started off by saying that slavery is one of the most despicable abuses of human rights. But the enslavement of my ancestors is history, and one of the immutable facts of history is that nothing can be done to change it. I could have let the matter rest, but I went further to tell them that I, Walter E. Williams, have benefited enormously from the horrible suffering of my ancestors. After a few gasps and shocked expressions, I explained, "Assuming my birth in any event, my wealth and personal liberties are greater having been born in the United States rather than any African country. The United States is rare since it attempts to right its previous wrongs. In short, we have a national conscience. However, that conscience is being tested." In the book, Wealth, Poverty, and Politics, author Thomas Sowell states, "The one thing that can be said unequivocally about the past is that it is irrevocable. When both history and the contemporary world scene show what a challenge it can be to create or maintain decent relations among contemporaries, it is staggering that some people imagine that they can take on the far larger task of righting the wrongs of the past committed by people long dead without igniting dangerous new hostilities among the living. The people who push for the redistribution of wealth manipulate and twist the truth, cherry-pick data, lie, and ignore the evidence to make convincing arguments that wealth is evil, as long as it is someone else's wealth. They try to manipulate people's feelings to get them to hate successful individuals. Unfortunately, these are effective pressure points for many caring people who don't know the evidence and aren't critically thinking about the topic. This is another powerful reason why studying history helps critical thinkers think for themselves. What exactly is your fair share of what someone else has worked for? Thomas Sowell.